All right, Foz, you were on mute then.
Yeah, sorry, apologies, people. I don't know what's happening over there. Yes, Liverpool have won by 2 goals to 0 against Newcastle at St James's Park. We're the only team that actually beat Newcastle home and away this season. And, things are looking up for Liverpool at the moment. There are 2 difficult games and 2 clean sheets as well. So I'm going to bring my main man, Ryan. Let's bring him in so we can talk about the game. Yes, Ryan.
Hello, hi mate. You okay?
I'm not muted anymore, so I'm all good.
Hey, you've only
Been a
got
long
one
day.
job. It has.
What's going on, bro? You good?
Yeah, I'm about, mate. I'm about. One second. Let me just something like Alexa, turn off desk lamp. Right, there we go. Better lighting.
Yeah, much better.
Yeah, no, it was. Yeah, at the end of the day, mate, it's back-to-back clean sheets. It's back-to-back goals for, a new signing that's settling in. It's back-to-back assists for a fullback who's come under a lot of criticism. So,
That's the most important thing, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. There's positives. Would we have wanted a better performance? Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Would we have liked a few more goals after they've gone down to 10 men and some of the chances created again? Yeah, definitely. But at the end of the day, when you're we've got to remember, and I was guilty of it during the game. I was being overly negative, and sometimes you just need that little moment to reflect in perspective. This is a team that got beat 3-0 by Brighton, 3-0 by Wolves, 2-1 by Wolves by Brighton last minute in the FA Cup. This is a team that's been struggling all season for any kind of building blocks and for any kind of confidence. So to beat Everton the way we did, and then go away to St James's Park, they've only lost one game all season, by the way, and that was to us. And for us to go and grind it and fight it out the way that we did and win ugly, it's an important building block, isn't it, Foz?
100%, bro. Although the game went sour because of the sending off. I thought us keeping that clean sheet it's a actual momentum now. We're making it a regular thing. That's two out of 2. So we just got to keep going, innit? At the end of the day, we're catching up the ones at the top. Not everybody is winning every game, as you can see, Ryan. So yeah. We just got to keep going, and then we'll see where we end up at the end of the season. It's been a terrible season, but it could be a light at the end of the tunnel as well.
Exactly, mate, and it could be salvaged. And importantly as well, we've had 2 weekends where results have gone our way in other games, and we've capitalised. Whereas at times this season, when we've been given that chance, we've not capitalised on it. So it's a nice feeling to go and have a little bit of pressure on you because of your performances, have pressure on you because of results that have gone your way, and for us to step up. The lads have shown a little bit of cojones today to fight through that, because you could tell, couldn't you, Fuzz? They weren't 100% at it, and after the sending off, I suppose it's only human nature, isn't it, to sort of kick down a gear, because you get into this lull of this false sense of security and this lull. You're 2-0 up after 20 minutes. There's a sending off. We'll just knock the ball around for 70, 80 minutes now, and we'll win the game. And obviously, we know football and we know sport doesn't work out like that. So it's a bit of stick and twist, because the players and the manager have got a question there as well at 2-0. Do we go for it and risk? Do we go for the third and risk 2-1, or do we sit on it and try and see out 2-0? But we're a team that's not massively not massively there on confidence. So asking a team that's struggling for confidence to go and hold out a 2-0 win, you could see the nerves creeping in, but they got through, and that's all that matters. It's a building block.
That's the most important thing as well. Yeah, 100%. So let's look at the Premier League, and we'll obviously check out the other teams, what they've done in the Premier League, and we'll talk about it and what we have to perform in order for us to climb up that league as well. Arsenal, they've won by 4-2. I watched the game. I thought Aston Villa defensively was just awful at the end. That Mings guy, I don't get what kind of defender he is. He just makes a lot of mistakes, and he doesn't give confidence for the Aston Villa defense. But Arsenal, listen, at the end of the day, they grind out the result, and they're top of the league. And then you look at Manchester City dropping points. And From what I saw the Man City game, they had their first teamers out there. Like Laporte was back, Diaz was back at the back, and De Bruyne was back in the team, and they still struggled against a team like Nottingham Forest. You know what I mean? They don't get me wrong, they missed a lot of chances. But what do you think of the league this season, Ryan? Like, do Man City? Is it because Liverpool are not challenging? They put they took the foot off the gas. What's the actual reason for them to be as bad as they are?
I think similar to us, I think they're going through a slight transition, aren't they? You know, they're getting used to a new striker. I thought Thierry Henry actually spoke really well in midweek, in I think it was the Champions League about the situation with Erling Haaland. He was saying that when he was at Arsenal, Arsene Wenger said to him that you've got to look at the players you're playing with as a striker. He said you're making great runs, but you're making great runs for only Dennis Bergkamp. He was like Robert Pires and Freddie Ljungberg. They're not the same as Dennis Bergkamp, so you have to look at their game and how that influences, how that influences you. And he said he went away. He looked at Robert Pires. Robert Pires likes to play a lot of 1-2s.
Yeah.
So he looked at Freddie Ljungberg. Freddie Ljungberg likes to drive with the ball, dribble past players. And he said, so I had to change my game up a little bit to start that relationship. And I think they're doing the same. I think they're just going through a change of system. Obviously, Pep's doing this thing this season where there's no orthodox fullbacks on the pitch. It's all about this back three, and it's like lopsided to get whoever's playing left wing on the ball. And I think they're just going through transition. And ultimately, if they didn't have Erling Haaland's goals this season, they'd probably be in and around that fight for top four. Again, as much as they're going through transition and we're going through transition and Chelsea are going through issues, the league this season still hasn't been filled with that much quality. It's been a pretty poor Premier League so far.
Poor, man. I've said it in the beginning, mate. Like, if you look at it, the only reason the Premier League looks more competitive than usual is because we've been crap. That's the whole point, man. Like, if we was like up to the quality that we are normally in, I think we would have won the league this season. But it's just everybody's just dropped off around the same time, which is frustrating me more than anything. You know what I mean? If we got that one or two players just to, make the squad even better, we could have been top, bro. You know what I mean?
I think people just need to be careful of this aspect of being like, oh, right, Newcastle are here to stay, and Man United are back, and Brighton are only a couple of players away. And it's like, right, I get in the aspect of this season, maybe that is maybe that's correct, but for me this year feels very similar to the COVID season. I'm not too sure why. It's completely different reasons, but the quality of performances and the quality of from the managers and the quality from the teams that we're used to just hasn't really been there. Like we said yesterday on the phone last night for us, Newcastle are having one of the seasons of their life. We're having a shocking season. We're now only 6 points behind them with a game in hand. Manchester United is supposed to be having the best season they've had for a long, long time. They're on about their back. They've conceded the same amount of goals as us, and we've been woeful. Do you know what I mean? You have to look at the numbers, and you have to look at the math, and you have to look at the metrics.
I can't hear you. Is it me?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now, yeah.
I'm just saying, so you have to look at the maths, you have to look at the metrics, you have to look at the data, because ultimately the law of averages will eventually even out. And the data that is on offer is showing that this is a pretty poor Premier League season, if we're going to be honest. And I think next season, once City get a couple of players that they need to move out and bring in, and we hopefully make a couple of signings that's needed, and Manchester United will obviously get new owners and they'll sign better players, and Arsenal will continue to improve. I think next season you'll see what could be the real quality of the Premier League. Yeah. But this season so far, people just need to calm down. It's like even in the domestic cups, the League Cup semi-finals this year had Manchester United, Newcastle, Nottingham Forest, and Southampton. Last season, the League Cup's semi-finals was the current top four at the time. Yeah, that's the difference of levels in even the domestic cups this season. So, yeah, I think people just need to relax a little bit with what they're seeing. But it's a great win for Arsenal at the end of the day.
Yeah, do you favour them now, like to win the league?
No, I still fancy Manchester City, because I think again that experience will show. There was aspects today against Aston Villa, weren't there, where you could see that there was a little bit of nervousness, there was a little bit of weakness in their mentality, and there was a few cracks in the, in their system. I think they were just fortunate that they were playing against a pretty bang average, Aston Villa side.
Yeah.
They've got Manchester City coming up at the Etihad soon. They've got us to play at Anfield. They've got some difficult games coming up.
Even in today's game, a lot of people were saying like Arsenal were lucky to get away with the win in that game because they don't know how they did it. Because I agree. Well, there wasn't that like this world beating Aston Villa. It's just bad defending from Aston Villa that actually got them the win. If Aston Villa had their defensive obviously side organized, they probably wouldn't have won that game. Like I said, there's two sides to the league, isn't there? Like the first bit is when everybody goes for the league, everybody goes full throttle football, and then the second part when everybody's have to fight for the position in the Premier League, have to fight for the position where they have to be in the Premier League, because wherever you finish is the money in it. So then you got the top four after that, then you got the challenging for the title after that as well. So this is how the league is organized. If you look at the two sides of the league, so now you can see Arsenal struggling, but like you said, Manchester City, they know what they're doing. Let's just be honest here, bro. Eventually, they're gonna reach the top 4 minute, and they're gonna take over and then win that league. That's how it is. Because you can't have two teams and settle for second place. Like you look at Arsenal's bench, it's not as strong as Man City, even second bench.
Exactly, and they've got the Europa League as well that's coming back next month, and that starts to throw the Thursday Sunday aspect into games, into the schedule. So I just think it's hard as well when you've had a 9-point lead, and you think you've got the biggest game that you've ever had since the Emirates has opened. You play Manchester City, you got 1-0 down, all right, sound, it's a mistake. You get to 1-1 and you're thinking, tell you what, if you can pull off a win here, who knows what's possible. But ultimately they didn't. Ultimately they got beat 3-1 and they got humbled in their back garden, and now you could, like I say, you could see cracks into it. At the end of the day, if Jorginho doesn't ping one off the bar and it hits Martinez and goes in, I know it's all if plus and maybes, but if they didn't get that little bit of luck, we'd be sitting here now going, they've bottled it. And is it a case of a little bit of luck is papering over cracks, or is it a mentality side? Are they strong mentally? I think to get the answer of that, you have to wait for the next couple of weeks, don't you? You can't just judge it off this game. If they can go and get something away at the Etihad, for example, all of a sudden you're then looking at them with a boost of that, thinking, well, right, you know what, you probably are favourites now. But I still think City for me.
The thing with my Arsenal, like if they go to the Etihad with a different kind of mentality, like in a way of like being ultra defensive and try hit them on the counter attack, I think they could probably get the game done by that. At least get a draw if they have to. But if they're playing the type of football what they're doing now, like full throttle, like open all over the place and all that stuff, end to end, they're gonna get battered. Let's just be honest there. And what Pep Guardiola said after that Arsenal game the other day, he said, I was changing formations during the game. That's how confident he is. I'm saying? So he doesn't even think a lot about them. And he doesn't. What I've seen about Pep Guardiola, he doesn't stress out like he does when he's watching Liverpool. I'm not trying to brag, but it's a difference between Arsenal and Liverpool when you're challenging. And he always knew he's going to catch Arsenal. Let's just be honest there. As long as he's got them in arm's length, he knows what he's going to do.
Yeah, he'd have always been confident. I think the stress of playing against Liverpool comes from the fact of that. He knows where his biggest rivals, and him and Jurgen Klopp have got one of the best, rivalries I think we've seen in modern day football. So, I think that's where that side of him comes from. But listen, it's an important win for them. It's 3 points. Manchester City have dropped points, which always gives you a little bit of confidence. However, there's bigger tasks to come, isn't there? But again, there's taken away from the Premier League race. There's results that went for us today, and I know it sounds pretty mad to say it, but Brighton dropped points, albeit it was to Fulham. They still dropped points. Brentford dropped points. They only managed the 1-1 draw. Chelsea dropped points, but hopefully you'd imagine Chelsea will be irrelevant to us in a couple of weeks' time.
What do you think of Chelsea, Ryan? Like they spent 600 million as we discussed earlier. Like, What do you think of them? Like if you spend that much money, like, are you supposed? It shows in football. You could spend as much as you want, but if you haven't got the right structure in place, it doesn't matter where you are in the league. You're going to be even in the bottom half. Look at Nottingham Forest. Like they got about 3 new teams, haven't they? So they're struggling as well. I mean,
I think Chelsea are the reason that, for me, Chelsea are the reason that people need to calm down around the whole Manchester United and Liverpool takeover situations and things like that. You know, the phrase "the grass isn't always green" can apply in these situations. And ultimately, at Chelsea, you've got, like, I was on a Spaces just before this, and people were saying, like, well, it will eventually work for Chelsea. And it's like, but what basis are you saying that off? Because I'm not seeing any evidence of that, because this is Todd Bowley's first first European football team. Yeah, you know, and he's going into it with a different kind of strategy. So there is no evidence that'll pull off. The same way that people are going, well, Manchester United are going to get the Qataris and they'll get their house in order. Again, the bloke who they're talking about has never owned a football club. So
we'll discuss that. We'll discuss that in a minute. I'll need to speak about that. Yeah,
you know, but like those kind of things. So where is this evidence? And Chelsea's current situation with the results off the pitch, the results on the pitch, and the business that they're doing off the pitch, it all feels to me like there's pieces of this jigsaw that they're trying to put together, but they're not too sure on the strategy of putting it together yet. Do you know what I mean? Like,
where's the plan? Where's the plan? Yeah.
It's like getting a 100-piece jigsaw and going, right, it's going to be a big jigsaw, so I might do it on the floor. But then again, my back's going to start aching, so I might do it on a table. But I'm not going to pick enough tables. Do you know what I mean? So you've got all these little pieces that you want to try and put together, but you've got no idea how you're going to put it together.
How to put it together. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's why I feel sorry for the manager. You know what I mean? Because he's come to a situation, especially where he had Brighton in a good place. Like he could have just built the team, and then probably when he gets them to the direction he wanted to, move away to a bigger team. But I think he's moved away. He's moved too early. I think, in my opinion, anyway.
I agree. I think he's moved too early, and I think he's moved to the wrong club.
Yes.
And where I feel sorry for him as well, he's got Pochettino and Zidane breathing down his neck. Not you know, they're not there, they're not getting linked. However, Chelsea owners, Chelsea fans, Chelsea players, Graham Potter himself will know that those two managers that have got an extremely good, you know, backing around them, Zizou especially when working with Galacticos, you know, major signings like this, when they're breathing down your neck, it can intensify things. And then to go and get beat 1-0 at home to Southampton.
That's bad, bro.
You know, a managerless Southampton. You really have to think. You have to think like Todd Bowley, and there does come to a point where they might go into old school Chelsea shoes here and be like, "You ain't cutting it. I've spent 600 mil for you, and you ain't cutting it." Yeah. If Pochettino is available for a fee, or Zidane's, you know, around for the fee, I'll give it a go with them. If he put it this way, if he's got that willingness to spend that kind of money on players, I'm sure he's more than happy to do the same.
But the thing is, Ryan, what I want to ask you, like, is it Graham Potter that wants these players, or is it the club that wants these players? I mean, that's what we need to look at. Because at the end of the day, he did say it on the press conference, "I'm just a coach. I don't choose the players that's coming in." So, like, if you get these high wage players, these big time Charlie players who only listen to themselves, how are you gonna deliver messages to them? You know what I mean? It's gonna be like more or less impossible, unless you're a big character of a manager like Pep Guardiola or Jurgen Klopp or someone like that,
or Pochettino or Zidane, as we say. Yeah. I think it's one of them. I'm a big advocate that you should never give a manager full say on his players. I don't think that's a wise move. I think the best managers and the best setups have a recruitment system around them that know exactly what that gaffer wants. Yeah. He does his coaching and managing, and they sort all that side out. Exactly. However, they've not made that many backroom staff changes, and they've only just employed Graham Potter. So unless you've interviewed him in depth and you've asked exactly what he wants, the likelihood is the majority of those signings are just what Todd Bowley and and a few of the Chelsea heads want. Because you can't tell me Graham Potter, when he was at Brighton, used to play fantastic football. Really, really good football. On and off the ball. The respect he used to get from Pep Guardiola and Jurgen Klopp says it all. He identified, though, at Brighton that one of his big issues was they didn't score enough goals. They didn't have an out-and-out number 9 who could bag goals. So he's gone to Chelsea, spent 600 million, but not signed the number 9. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't see Graham Potter turning around, looking at that Chelsea squad in January and going, yeah, you know what, Gaffer, was sound if we don't sign a number 9. Like, we'll be fine, Todd. You know, I just don't envision that personally. You know, and more can be said about obviously the deals and how they're trying to do it around financial fair play and stuff like that. But the original question is, do I think that they are Graham Potter's signings? And ultimately, well, no. I think the proof in the pudding is that they're not. They're not Graham Potter signings, are they? Really?
No, they're not. All right, we'll move on to our match. We'll talk about it in length and obviously the formation and all that stuff. Let's do this. Yeah, so this is how we started, everyone. If you're watching, there you go. This is how we started with the team. What did you think of this formation, right? Like in general, like because we brought in Van Dijk and we took off obviously Matip, so it's pretty much the team that beat Everton. Were you confident in the game that we could win with this team against Newcastle, especially with Newcastle riding high as well?
Well, yeah, I think like we said in the spaces before the game, you know, there's a confidence going into it, and ultimately the only change that anyone would have made was probably Van Dijk for Matip or Gomez. And as you know, as the game played out, Virgil didn't have one of his better games, and he continued.
It's understandable though. He's just come back from.
Yeah, exactly. He's just coming back, you know. And Klopp said after it, he said that he struggled. He said he had a tough 90 minutes, you know, to get through. So you know you can give him the benefit of the doubt in that aspect, but no, going into it, I was confident. The goals we scored are absolutely wonderful goals, really nice goals. Yeah. But there was just, I don't know, there was just something lacking tonight. There was just that extra edge of intensity that we had at Anfield the other night that was lacking.
Do you think the Everton game took a lot out of the players? Maybe that's what happened because they put a lot of energy to it.
I think it takes a little bit out of you. I think there's aspects that you can't control, like the difference in the size of pitch, and you know, and things like that. Like a lot of people don't actually appreciate how much of a difference that makes. Anfield is one of the tightest pitches in the Premier League, so it allows Liverpool to do what they want to do best. Which do you think? 1 second, Ryan. Do you think like with the Anfield, like especially the stadium is changing and all that stuff? Do you think they should at least widen the pitch so we could get used to things like that? Because majority of the pitches we go to nowadays, they're much wider than our one. We used to be one of the biggest pitches on the Premier League back in the day, but we're no longer that anymore. And we actually, like when there's a bigger pitch, I think we struggle, like because we don't know how to play on those kind of pitches because we don't do that consistently, if you know what I mean. Because if we do the similar thing to Man City and Newcastle and Man United, maybe we could cope with those games way better than like we normally do, if you know what I mean. I don't know if you understand that bit. I think there's a degree of it that comes into play. You know, like you do. I think it was one of the main reasons why we struggled so much away at Old Trafford in Klopp's first couple of years, because taking our pressing game that weren't refined to one of, if not the largest pitches in the Premier League, is completely different to doing it at Anfield. However, I think the Anfield pitch is perfect for Klopp's philosophy. We like to attack narrow and we like to defend narrow. Yeah. So when you've got a smaller pitch and you've got the fans so tight and compact into the pitch, you see against Everton on Monday night, and I'm sure you'll see the game. So you'll see it again in the game on Tuesday. It does help. It does bring everyone together, and it makes that pitch feel like an absolute war zone rather than a chasing shadows kind of exercise. Yeah. But I think when you go away to these bigger pitches like tonight, you slightly have to adapt, and I think I think if they don't go down to 10 men, and it's 11 versus 11, I think you see our levels stay higher. I think you see human nature plays a part, and I think you see us fight that little bit harder than we need to fight, because you'll have to.
Yeah.
But no, of course it's going to take a lot out of you. And like I said a couple of minutes ago on another space, that Everton was fantastic. You know, it was really nice to beat the Blues, and it was 2-0, and it felt like us again, and we could all
100%.
resonate. Yeah, we could all resonate with the team again. However, there is still an aspect of papering over cracks. There is certain things what are wrong with Liverpool that can only be fixed with personnel and signings. So those issues you can't just fix now because we're not in a window. Yeah. So what you've got to do is you've got to try and win when they're there, or you've got to try and paper over them with fantastic performances every now and then. Yeah. Everton papered over them. Everyone it just worked. Yeah. Newcastle, they were there on display.
I think the 10 men like maybe killed the game, because before that 10 men we was actually dominating the game if you looked at it from the other side of things. But Redbird says, I thought Trent was excellent tonight. What do you think of Trent, Ryan? You thought he was brilliant?
Oh mate, again, they brought this up on the spaces just before we did our live show, and I said the same. I think if you're giving Trent any kind of abuse or criticism after the last few games, I just don't think you know what footy is, to be honest. Like the lad has come under criticism, which has been due, because he set a standard. He set a standard for himself, which is so high that when he doesn't reach it, we all go, well, he's shy. When in reality, when he doesn't reach his standards, he's still pretty decent. It's just that his standards are that high.
You know what people need to understand about Trent? He started as in a young age. This burnout is going to happen. We always said that, even when we was young, we said it. At some stage, his form will change. You know what I mean? And it's how he comes out of it. That's what we'll have to go and see. That's what's happened to the kid. You know what I mean? He's 24 now. He's becoming like a seasoned pro. And the thing that's going to help him in the longer terms, hopefully in the near future, when we get the right players around him, that creativity will be taken away from him a lot more.
You know, that's it as well, though, Foz, is that he's not had a settled right centre mid or settled right centre back partner all season. When we look back over the years, where Trent set phenomenal levels, it's been John Henderson or Naby Keita, and it's been Joel Matip or Joe Gomez. Yes. Now we're throwing Ibu Konate into it. We're throwing Harvey Elliott
Phillips
out
as
on
well,
that right wing. You've had Phillips around there at times. We're throwing a different winger in as well at times, because we've had situations where we've had Ben Doak out there. We've had Fabio Carvalho was pulled out onto the right. Harvey Elliott's pulled out onto the right. He's had a lot of change around him, which he's got to deal with, and this is all part of transitioning football. So I think we allude to it a lot when we play Football Manager, or when we play FIFA. We go like, chemistry is really important.
Of course,
the game makes chemistry really important, because it's a true aspect of sport. Chemistry is vital. Chemistry and momentum are two of the biggest things in sport.
Yeah.
When you're not being able to get momentum because we're low on confidence and we're not winning games, and your chemistry is always changing with who you're playing with, of course you're going to see detrimental effects on your game. It's only natural. If he was to play through what he's been thrown at this season, you're probably then talking at 24, he's the best right back that's ever played the game. Yeah. Because for him to be able to come through that, if he was still performing at the highest levels when we're getting beat 3-0 away by Wolves and 3-0 away by Brighton, and he was still putting in the same levels that he did when we won the Premier League and Champions League, then he'd just be an absolute weirdo phenomenon. And he's human. He's not a robot. So
the thing what people don't understand as well with Trent and the likes of Van Dijk, they're the only ones who are consistently playing on a regular basis. You know what I mean? They don't have no backups. Like, it was the same quality. You can see the quality drops immensely when these players come out of the team. You know what I mean? So you can't really blame them if they drop form, because 38. The games are 38 games in the season, isn't it? So they play probably 35 35 games in a season, Ryan. That's a lot for a guy, for anyone like me, you. Even we
especially
played.
especially after the season we had just prior as well.
Exactly.
You know, and I think you're right about that, Foz. That unfortunately we've had issues with Calvin Ramsey. We've had centre back issues, which means we've not been able to put Joe Gomez out at right back. Yeah. So Trent has probably played more minutes than the manager wanted him to play this season.
Exactly. That's why Van Dijk looks burnt out as well. Like, how many years has Van Dijk been playing, bro? With non-stop football, the most consistent player.
You can see why a left-footed centre half is on our list for the summer.
Yeah.
And I think it's a really wise move by the club to be targeting that.
Yeah. Redbird says, do you think the players have one eye on Madrid game? That's what I meant to say. I don't know. There's more important things in the season, isn't it? Like, it's not just Real Madrid. We need to win our games in the Premier League as well. Like, just in case that game doesn't work out, we need to be in the Champions League next season. And not only that, like, if new owners come in, at least they have something in place as well to make the squad even better. If you know what I mean, Ryan. So. The club's up for sale. I've always said that. I mean, you don't put two big banks in place for the club to be only minority sale. It can't happen, man. I mean, so if new owners come in, like, they have everything in place compared to the Man United, who have to restart with everything and pay off debts, pay off the stadium, pay off. There's so much stuff happening at Old Trafford. We don't need to worry about things like that. Yeah, but like I said, like I don't think they just have one eye on the Champions League. I think the Premier League is important as well. I honestly think that because the position we're in the league, we was like 10th at one stage, and Liverpool haven't finished below 8th since 1962, and that's a while ago. You know what I'm saying? So we don't want to be in that positions anymore. Yeah. So let me move on to this. Hang on. The next thing we'll be moving on to is. Did the Nick Pope thing, like, did it change? Did that ruin the game, the Nick Pope sending off, Ryan? Do you think, like, if it was 11 versus 11, maybe we would have continued to playing the way we was playing, instead of like opening up the game and like it was end to end, and it wasn't a pretty sight, bro. Like, if they scored, and especially like the way they were attacking in the set pieces, we would have been in a lot more trouble, in my opinion, man.
I think set pieces are always going to be set pieces in general are difficult to defend, because when you're defending a set piece, you don't get the run. They get the run on you. You don't get the run on them. So straight away, you're at a negative.
Especially zonal marking.
Who was so proficient. Yeah, exactly. And a team like Newcastle, who was so proficient from set pieces, it's only natural to concede a couple. That weren't one of my worries in the game. I think that's just a situation where you're facing someone's strength, and you're just trying your hardest to get around it. But coming back to the Nick Pope thing, I think it has played an aspect. You've got this thing where if you're 11 versus 11, you've got no other choice but to try a little bit harder and keep your levels a little bit higher, because you wouldn't get given the time on the ball that we got given. I think it ruined the game for us in the sense of, we were 2-0 up, sending off happens, and then we went into this lull of indecision, because we're 2-0, which is an indecisive scoreline anyway. And then what happens is half of you goes, you know what, should we press on? Should we try and get the third goal and risk 2-1? And then another half of you goes, well, we're 2-0 up, let's manage the game. We've got Real Madrid coming up as well. Let's just sit here now for the next 50, 60, 70 minutes, and we'll try and keep the ball, and we'll try and manage the game. But as we all know in sport, regardless of whether you're playing against 10 men or whatever, it doesn't work like that. You can't then hold the ball for the next 80 minutes. You're going to eventually give the ball up. Someone is eventually going to have a little bit of a lull
do you think, like, concentration. Do you think in against 10 men, like, Liverpool always struggle, or is it just me? Like, for some reason,
we always had that. In our group chat, didn't he? At half time, sorry, after the game, he said, and do you remember that stat? I think it was the season the season before we won the Prem, or it might have been the season we won the Prem, where we'd not scored against 10 men for like a big chunk of minutes under Jurgen Klopp.
Chelsea, I think Chelsea was the first game. I remember in the beginning of the season. Yeah,
yes, because Reece James got sent off,
yeah,
and then we got the penalty, didn't we?
Yeah.
So there is always an aspect of that, and we'll know it as players and coaches, and they'll know it as players and coaches, that when you go down to 10 men, you automatically become more spirited anyway if you're a good team.
Yeah.
So I weren't surprised by Newcastle's fight, because they're a top team with a top gaffer and a great spirit over there, and they're at home at 5:30 with a League Cup final coming up. Their fans were always going to continue to sing, and I thought they did really well considering their situation.
Mm-hmm.
But there's an aspect of Liverpool do struggle when they're playing against 10 men. You are stick and twist. We're a team we're not brimming with confidence, so we don't want to go for the kill because we're too worried about what might happen.
What's going to happen at the back? Yeah.
But then you don't want to get into this lull of just passing and moving it around, because we've not been great at passing and moving this season. We're not good at that, mate, yeah. No, so the performance has some aspects of it that are caused by Nick Pope, and others that are caused by us. But again, ultimately, we got through it. We fought through it. 2-0 win.
I've always said, just take the 3 points and get out. That's it. You don't need anything more than that.
Listen, those are the kind of games that help build confidence and they help build blocks, because 2 to 3 weeks ago, we'd have lost that game. Even after going 2-0 up, with the way we were playing, we'd have lost that game. Yes. But what's happened now is we've gone back to the old Liverpool again, where we've won ugly. We've won a game and we've won it ugly. We've not. And been luck was on our side
as well. Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit of luck. Two nice goals. Oh, I'm gonna sneeze. Take over, Foz.
Yeah, we scored 2 nice goals, obviously. Darwin Núñez and Gakpo. Gakpo scored, yeah. So what do you think of these 2 players now, bro? Like, are they coming to their own? You know what I mean? There's a lot of fans, who call themselves fans, that had a go at these players. They say, like, why did we spend like 80 million on Darwin Núñez if he's not going to be scoring goals on a regular basis? Well, I kept repeating to them, he's not here for that reason. He's here to improve as an all-round player. He can score goals. The guy scored over 40 goals last season in Benfica. But if you give him time and let him work on the other side of the games that he's struggling with, which is his passing, his hold up play, his positioning, and how to use that pace when you got the ball, which he's improved on this season. I don't know if you agree with me with things like that.
Oh, mate, absolutely. I remember watching him. So like before he even signed, I was in the Caribbean actually when we signed him on a 3-week all inclusive, and you can ask my missus. I spent 80% of that holiday just sat on the Sun Lounge or on Twitter every day being like, has he signed yet? Has he signed yet? I'm a huge Darwin Núñez fan. And I think you're absolutely spot on. He's not been brought in to just replicate those 40 goals a season. If he can replicate those 40 goals a season, then absolutely fantastic, of course. But as you said, he's been brought in because there's an absolute diamond there, surrounded by these little bits of stone that just needs carving out. And when you carve it out, you've got one of the most deadliest attackers in the world. Nobody can. There's not many other players in world football. Probably Erling Haaland and Osimhen, who are similar in the strength, power, finishing ability, confidence, age,
work rate. Don't forget the work rate for a striker.
Work rate, tenacity. He has everything, and it's only a matter of time before it starts to really, the cream rises to the top kind of thing. So for me, no worries about him. Like, you can see my whole page is around Darwin Núñez. I'm a huge fan. And then you got Godi Gakpo, or Hakpo, as it's pronounced.
Oh, you forgot the poo bit.
Hakpo. We know the sides of Twitter who call themselves supporters, yet make fail compilations. But ultimately, there's this thing with Cody Gakpo that people are forgetting is he's played before coming to us. I think it was 9 games in his entire men's professional career as a number 9. Right?
There you go.
And 5 of them were in the World Cup, right? For Netherlands, where he was their best player in the World Cup.
Exactly.
So you come into a new league, new teammates, you're 23, you're not living in a gaff, you're living out of a hotel, You've not brought you. So you brought your. I think he's brought his agent
girlfriend
over here or someone like that.
Yeah.
You're adapting to a new league with a new pace. You've not got off to a flying start yet, but you've shown all aspects, and then you're being wrote off by your own supporters, and then people are wondering like, why is he not banging a hat trick in? It's like, well, funnily enough, he's probably sat there thinking, why the fuck are my own supporters writing me off after 5 minutes of being here? And then he gets his goal against Everton, plays well again today, takes a really nice goal away at Newcastle, fantastic run and finish. And you'll still see people who'll go like, yeah, but it's not enough. And,
what people? What's crazy? What's crazy, Ryan? Like, like this position he's playing in right now. Yeah, it's the most difficult position to play in, like in football in general. Like a lot of teams tried that formation, that what Liverpool do, and they still can't find that Firmino kind of person.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what Klopp is trying to integrate him into. Like he could, like. Normally, you put Nunez as a striker because he's a striker, but he wants a person that could drop deep. Now we've got a guy who could hold up play. He could pass the ball. He doesn't lose a lot of possession, as you've seen him in this and today, and he could run with the ball with power, bro. He runs with power.
Oh, yeah.
So once that comes together, can you imagine what that role can be like for us in the future?
Yeah.
Like when we're competing at the highest level. He could cause a lot of damage, bro. And not only that, his work rate today was amazing. I thought he was outstanding in his work rate, the way he's chasing everyone about.
Work rate was good. I think as well, what we have to remember is when he plays that false nine position and he's allowed to pull in and around, just like for the first goal, it creates spaces in the other team's back line. And if you've got intelligent players around, like the likes of Darwin Núñez, Mohamed Salah, it brings them into the game. And I really, really, really wouldn't be surprised to see Luis Diaz, Cody Gakpo, and Mo Salah as a front three at some point. And I wouldn't be surprised if it clicks.
Yeah.
Because again, it's those aspects of a false nine who helps out the midfield and brings other players into play, and he can make us a link between midfield and attack. And ultimately, it's about versatility as well. If you spend the next 4 to 5 months of teaching Cody Gakpo how to play in the false nine, it doesn't necessarily mean he has to play it next season. Yeah. And if I'm going to be honest with you, if we get the midfield signings that we want, I'd be very surprised if he played false nine, because I fully expect him and Diaz to be off the left, Núñez and Jota through the middle.
Yeah,
and then I expect the likes of Jude Bellingham, Harvey Elliott, Mo Salah, all those kind of players to be in and around. As like a midfield three behind the central striker.
See, like you just mentioned it, bro. Look at the names that's going to be there next season, bro. Like with these names already here, that's crazy, man. And then people are moaning, like you think to yourself, take it easy, man. Everybody has a season off, and they have to like get the new players integrated. That's what happens. We like I always say, we're never going to be that club that's like spending 600 million on players and then stay in 10th. We're going to have to build and then go up. Build and go up. Obviously, you have to take a couple of steps back to move forward again. That's what we're doing.
I find funny though, Foz. Mm-hmm. So, these people who make these failed compilations, or they have a go at the owners all the time, and they say they want the Qataris in, or they say they want the Saudi Arabians in, and stuff like that.
Mm.
They're very quick to quote the likes of Bill Shankly and Bob Paisley, and they're very quick to talk about the heritage of Liverpool Football Club, and they're quick to call Manchester City cheats and say that winning a trophy with Liverpool means more because of our history and our spirit and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But all that comes from somewhere, and none of that has ever come from money. Liverpool's success down the years has never come from being a state-owned club, or
the richest club in the world.
It's
the only time we've been rich it was the Littlewoods, isn't it? And we wasn't even successful.
No,
that's the only time.
The one time Liverpool have had money, it went down the fucking bin.
But the Moore families was in charge, and we was never successful. There you go.
I get there's an aspect of us all, of course, that would like to be state-owned, or at least backed by substantial amounts of money, so that we can challenge, with the likes of Chelsea and City.
Yeah.
But when you need to ask yourself, what aspect of challenge are you meaning? Do you just want to pay the same prices for players? Because I can tell you right now, guys, and you can clip this or whatever, whether it's FSG there next season, right, or it's me great grandma's Will, right, who's running the club. Liverpool Football Club will be challenging. Yeah. Right, because Liverpool Football Club is Liverpool Football Club. We will always be there and thereabouts.
Exactly, brother.
We'll have parts where we're off. We'll have moments where we're not quite there. The same way that Chelsea will. The same way that Manchester City will. The same way that Manchester United will. And the difference will be that we're not going to have our time off with Qatari money. You know, we're not going to have our time off with Saudi Arabian money.
It's like what you said. Look at the state-owned clubs. How many of them are winning Champions Leagues on a regular basis? Like, there you go. I mean, can someone explain that to me?
What do these fans mean by challenge? If you want us to challenge them on a football aspect, stick with the support to your players and stick with the support to your manager, because they've got proof in the pudding. Yes. If you just want us to challenge with them on a transfer fee, well, ultimately, even if we had the money, I don't think we would. I can't envision Jurgen Klopp wanting to match Chelsea's bid for Mudryk.
Yeah.
I can't envision Jurgen Klopp and Liverpool wanting to match PSG's bid for Kylian Mbappe. As much as I'm sure they scouted those players and they like those players, that's just not us. It's just not us as a club. It's just not what we do. We never have and we never will. You know,
there's a different sorry, go carry on.
I was just going to say, Jude Bellingham will absolutely break the bank for us, in the summer when we sign him, and that's one that that's one that the manager wants to do. But again, don't expect them to happen every single year, whether that's Qatari state-owned or FSG, because that isn't us. So I'm not entirely sure, as I said in my video today, mate. I'm not entirely sure why everyone's flapping so hard and worried so much, because there's so many different things that come into play when
it's the togetherness, bro. If you got a club fans, first of all, the club, the manager, and everybody's together as one, the world's your oyster. I mean, at the end of the day, you could buy a most expensive player like Mbappe. He's mentally not a footballer like a man who's trying even harder than him anymore. Do you get what I'm saying? You could pay that guy 2 million or 1 million a week or whatever it is he's getting, but he's not gonna have that the other side of being humble. Like, I will give that extra yard on the pitch. I will put my head where it hurts. He's not gonna do things like that. This is the type of players Liverpool get. This is why, like you just said, Liverpool Football Club is always gonna be successful no matter what era we're in. Look at the 2005. That team should never win a Champions League, but we still win it. I mean, teams spend how much did Man City spend? $1 billion. Still can't get a Champions League. There you go. See, so Liverpool's always going to be there, no matter what we do, Ryan. That's how Liverpool Football Club is.
I just find it funny that these fans all say, well, Manchester City win the Premier League and they win the they win the domestic cups all the time. But if you win one trophy with Liverpool, it means more. And they're throwing that quote out from Jude Bellingham saying that there's certain clubs where if you win a trophy with them, it means more than winning it with someone else. Yeah. Well, newsflash for you, that's because of something to do with the club. And what that thing is integrity, not spending loads of money, not having owners that hire a different manager every 6 months, not having a fan base that flips and flops. That comes from integrity, togetherness, belief, and a club that is filled and ingrained with history through its roots. Exactly. So when you're one of these negative Twitter accounts, or when you're one of these ITKs that are throwing it around with finished under FSG and all this and all that, just remember what you're tweeting out when you tweet out those Jude Bellingham comments about it means more, or Steven Gerrard saying it'd mean more to win one trophy with Liverpool than it would to win 1,000 trophies with Chelsea. Just remember that when you're tweeting out some of the absolute dross that you come out with.
Exactly. Well, dude, listen, at the end of the day, I'm always going to be FSG because they haven't got, obviously, the finance that we need. But I will always appreciate what they've done for the football club. I will never put them in a way like they're shit owners. This is it. Listen, we won every trophy under them. You know what I mean? Every trophy possible under them. It's just, if there wasn't a pandemic and if there wasn't those injuries in that season, who would have known what we were going to be? We could have progressed even further. You know what I mean? We could have actually challenged for titles that season, because that season the title was won by 86 points, and we was top of the league, like I always say, in January, and we could have actually pushed on.
The 2 seasons when we finished 1 point behind Manchester City, I see people who are trying to say, well, if we had Qatari owners, that wouldn't happen. On what aspect? On what grounds are you trying to make that claim? You're just making that claim because it fits your agenda.
Well, Man City's got the money. Where's the Champions League? You know what I mean? They got the money. Where's the Champions League? I mean, for years they've been spending money. Where's the Champions League? So it ain't as easy as people think it is. We've done a difficult thing, man, like facing teams like this. Not only that, the hardest bit is when you're Liverpool Football Club, when you have to face these other teams that want to beat you so badly at the same time as well. You know what I mean? It's not like Arsenal that's walking it now, like getting to the top with ease. When it's Liverpool, it's the extra harder teams try, because it's Liverpool Football Club. I mean, we're not the most liked football club in the Premier League. Everybody knows that. That's why it took us 30 years to win the Premier League. So we've got a lot of hurdles to actually go to that next step, and unfortunately things happen along the way. But listen, we'll get back, man. We'll get back. Like you said, the summer is going to probably be the summer of all summers. We have to get those players right. We have to get those players, bro, like Caicedo, Bellingham, you know, for us to push that much further next season. Because at the end of the day, like I always say, we know what we need. Once we get those spots filled in, back in the title race, in my opinion.
And even if it's only a Jude Bellingham and a centre half, or even if it's only a Jude Bellingham and a Mason Mount, or a Jude Bellingham and a Mateus Nunes, or even if it's only a Mateus Nunes and a Caicedo, whoever it is, even if we don't get all 4 or 5 targets that we want, we'll still be there. You know, we will still be there, because these players aren't as bad as everybody is making out. There's only slight changes that need to happen. Jurgen Klopp and his backroom staff are still world class. Liverpool Football Club is still world class. Our fan base, as shown on Monday night, is still world class. We will be absolutely fine. Absolutely fine. There is, put it this way, if I was a Manchester United fan right now, and they didn't have a deadline and they were going to continue with the Glazers, then I'd be worried, because that is a different situation to us. Yeah. Right? If I'm a Tottenham fan right now, I would be worried, because again, that is a club that's being held back by its owner
for years.
Right? Yeah. They're in a situation where, you know, it's got some similarities to us, but they're in a situation where, again, they're being held back by their owner. But the difference is they haven't got the squad or the management or the infrastructure that we have. Yeah. He needs to do more. Like he needs to do what FSG did from around about 2015 to 2020, I suppose, where, you know, you go and recruit the right manager, you give him the right staff around him, you hire the right heads in the right spots, and the Tottenham would come back to it. But he's got no interest in doing that. So I'd be worried if I was a Tottenham fan. Same way I'd be worried if I was a Chelsea fan, because you've got an ownership that's got tons of money but no strategy whatsoever. No. People just need to calm down. Just because we've not been great on the football pitch doesn't mean the world's going to fall apart tomorrow. Yeah, you know, there's so many different mitigating factors to winning games in sport, and not all of them come down to your ownership. Do you know what I mean? Just relax.
Just remember where you was not so long ago. Just remember, you know what I mean? Like, if someone offered me before the 7 years, like, you'll get every trophy possible in the next 7 years, but you might need like a season to rebuild because of the situation you're in, especially financially. Would you snap their hands off for that, Ryan? You know what I mean? Especially when we was buying the Lamberts and Balotellis and all these useless players, you know what I'm saying? So think about that, you know what I mean? We're in a good place. We've got the right manager. I just don't understand why people turn on Klopp, man. You know
what about if the Qataris come in, Foz, and they absolutely flop it? They make the wrong signings, and they make the wrong assessments.
Klopp walks out. You know exactly. That can happen.
Are these FSG heads then going to turn to Qatari out heads? Are they never going to be happy with any manager? You know, with any ownership?
What people need to understand with us, Ryan, is like, we're not that type of football club like Chelsea. We were never going to be like Chelsea. We're not going to like one door shuts, another one opens, and all that stuff. It's never going to happen. That's not Liverpool Football Club. That's why the fans are sticking up for the football club people. It's not like they're sticking up for them because of like out of spite of your
blind loyalty.
Blind loyalty and all
like,
that stuff.
Like
the reason they stick because they don't want to change things like this. We don't want to become a Hollywood kind of football club. We're Liverpool Football Club. We have our own songs. We have our own fans. We have our own manager. Everybody comes as one. I mean, this is why we are the way we are. That's why people hate us. I'd rather people hating me than people liking me. You know what I mean, Ryan? Because it shows that we're doing the right things and everybody strives to be you. That's the whole point. I mean, that's what
these clubs that have this money that they can throw around and they have these different things. You know, we're very quick to complain about their atmospheres, and we're very quick to complain about, you know, the way that their fans hold themselves, and we say, well, your trophies don't mean anything because they're expected because you've spent that kind of money.
Yeah.
Again, and maybe I'm not a top red for saying this. It's just my personal opinion, and maybe I'm in the minority. But if someone said to me that Liverpool Football Club are going to do things the right way over the next 20 years, and we're going to stick with our integrity, and we'll have Europa League games like Borussia Dortmund again, and we'll have games like Wolves at home again where we just miss out on the Premier League by a point, but the atmosphere is booming. And we're only going to win one Premier League in the next 20 years or one Champions League in the next 20 years, but the club stays the same. You know, the fans stay the same, and going to Anfield feels as special as it does.
Like a home,
I'm happy with that. I'm happy with that. I would much rather be a Liverpool fan that wins one Champions League or one Premier League in the next 20 years, but keeps its integrity, than win 5 or 6 Champions Leagues and Premier Leagues based off pure and utter absolute sackfuls of cash, but have no feeling,
no identity.
Have no feeling.
The closeness to the club. The closeness to the club.
You don't have any feeling of accomplishment behind it because it's expected. Now there is also that middle ground, that aspect that we'd all love, is for Liverpool to stay the way we are, stay with our values, have an ownership that invests a little bit of money, and win those trophies. Right, we'd all like that. And I'm going to tell you now, the ones who have got a good chance of doing that are FSG. Yeah. You know, FSG have done some bad things whilst they've been at Liverpool Football Club with the ticket prices and trying to copyright
trademark the name,
trademark Liverpool,
furlough
like
stuff,
yeah, of course. And you know, they were quick to rectify those things, and people make mistakes. But what they have done is they've kept Liverpool alive as Liverpool Football Club, as the way we are. Yeah. Now, I'm not saying for 1 second that Middle Eastern owners would change that. I'm not saying that for 1 second at all. However, there is that possibility. I know with FSG, because of their track record and our current situation, that Liverpool would stay as the Liverpool that I love. Yeah. It just needs a little bit more ambition and football investment. So if FSG can prove that and do that for me, then me personally as a fan, I'm happy. So this clamouring for FSG out, I understand it because they've not proven that yet. However, if come this summer they do prove that, and they do invest in the team, and they do go out and get minor investment, and they do improve Liverpool Football Club, and they shut people up, then for me you have to take away your opinion of FSG out to a certain extent, because what you've asked of them, they've given you. You know,
exactly.
Ultimately, you have to give them till the summer. You know, till the summer to prove that and to do that.
Do you think that they've earned enough so they could prove that? Do you think they earned enough credit in the bank for that?
I do because I do and I don't. I do because you hear rumours that they've been putting away a substantial amount of money for this summer because they knew it was coming. Obviously, there is an argument to that of like, well, why didn't you just invest dribs and drabs over the years so that you didn't have to shell it all out at once? But I'm not a business, professional. I don't know how those things work. But ultimately, again, they haven't been bad owners. So
no.
Yes, they do. They do have the opportunity. Do I want them to have the opportunity? Personally, no. I don't want them to have the opportunity just off their own back. I would much prefer new owners that have, that have a track record of sporting ambition, or investors that have a track record of sporting ambition.
Yeah. How I want to see it. Like, I don't listen. People understand the self-sustainability is not a bad thing. It's a beautiful thing. You know what I mean? Because it keeps you balanced. You won't be on debt. You won't be having issues in the future if you have it like that. What I want to have is an owner, when we need money out of their pockets, get it into the club and put it in. You know what I mean? That's what I want. Have that in mind. That if we have that from FSG and the self-sustainability at the same time, I wouldn't argue about anything else. You know what I mean? I wouldn't care. But that's what we need. You know, when there's times like furlough, get money out of your pocket to invest in the team, just to win the league. You know what I mean? We don't want to be falling behind. Just keep up. Just keep up the actual momentum. If you know what I mean, Ryan. Things like that.
It's just trying to find and hope that we get owners who have got a track record of sporting ambition, isn't it, and sporting success. Because I see a lot of people who were clamouring over Sir Jim Ratcliffe, the other day, and like Liverpool fans who were like, "Oh, I so hope Sir Jim buys Manchester United rather than the Qataris because he's got a few less quid in the bank." but we don't know enough. For all we know, Sir Jim Ratcliffe might have this plan behind closed doors that is absolutely ideal for Manchester United.
If he's the richest man in Britain, he must be loaded. You know what I mean? So
listen, he's not shy of a penny, of course, but people are looking at it so black and white and thinking, right, well, he's only worth 30 billion, but the Qatari state are worth 32 billion, so they've got more money. There's only so many billions you can spend, whether you've got 15 billion or whether you've got 500 billion. There's only so much money you can spend as a football club.
It doesn't mean anything.
So it doesn't really make that much of a difference when you're talking at these kind of prices. What the difference is the plan that they've got and the sporting project that they want to do. Exactly. Manchester United and Liverpool produce more than enough money to the point of where owners wouldn't even have to touch their own pockets.
Exactly, brother.
What is needed is a little bit more ambition from both clubs and a little bit more structure from both clubs.
That's it.
But
if you look at both clubs, who's in a better position in there? You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah. Listen, Manchester United have got different aspects that obviously need to be improved. They haven't got the new training facility that we've not. They've not got the updated stadium that we've got. Right? They've got different aspects.
They haven't got the manager we've got either. You know what I mean? So
and they've got different aspects that they need to improve, of course. But the reality is that the two biggest football clubs in the world, they produce a shit ton of money, and that money, under the right ownership, with the right ambition, with the right structure in place, would create a self-sustainable monster that could just dominate football.
Exactly.
But again, there's no guarantee that the Qataris will do that. There's no guarantee that Sir Jim Ratcliffe will do that. There's no guarantees that FSG will do that. There's no guarantees that any ownership will do that.
Spot on. Because look at these two teams, PSG and Man City. They should be way ahead of everyone now. Way ahead. Are they? I don't think so. You know what I mean? They're both like not winning what they're supposed to win. This is what, is it 10 years later? Is it 12 years later? They're still in the same position as they was before, winning the same league titles on a continuous basis. But they want more than that, and they're not reaching that target where they spend the money to reach the target to. So I'm not too worried, bro. I'm not too worried. We're in a good place. No. It's just the finance side. Once we sort that out, I think we'll be fine, bro. You know, that's what I think, man.
Liverpool Football Club just needs a little bit more investment, a little bit more sporting ambition, and it needs to change. It needs to not change. It just needs to get a few things off the pitch in order. Once that happens, if we can sustain that with a self-sustainable model of a club that produces a load of money, be absolutely fine. Yeah. But just be careful when you're like, well, if the Qataris come in, we'll spend 700 billion and we'll have a new stadium that floats in midair, and it's
But be careful, like you said, be careful what you wish for, because look at Man City. They're in courts now, people. They are in the courts. They might even lose this battle this time. You know what I mean? So you could be in that situation. You know what I mean, we're run in a self-sustainable way, and we've got no issues. If you get what I'm saying.
They've had Kevin De Bruyne for 7+ years now. Hasn't got a single banner or song. They had a banner and a song for a lawyer who'd been at the club for 4 days. If that was my footy club, if Liverpool did that, mate, I think I'd have to quit. I think I'd have to quit supporting them. I think I'd have to go somewhere else. But because it's integrity, isn't it, that we have, that we don't want to let go of, and I can understand why.
Yeah. Redbird says Real Madrid are the biggest football team in the world than us and United. Yeah, listen, they've earned their right to be there. You know what I mean? If I don't know, but if that 5 years ban in the 80s, you know what I mean, which was in our best position at that time, I don't know if they will be that top like now. I don't know because like when we had John Barnes on them, they didn't play in the Champions League. So yeah, I mean, and that was our best period.
It also depends on what your measurement of the biggest is, as well. If you're going off that revenue thing that came out the other day, then obviously
are they in debt? Are they in debt like Real Madrid and that? Is in the Prince bailing them out or something? The Prince of Madrid. There you go.
It's one of them, though, mate. At the end of the day, Real Madrid could be classed as the biggest club in the world because they've got the most Champions Leagues. But Liverpool could be classed as the biggest club in the world because they've got the most trophies in English football, and that's determined as the hardest country in the world to play footy. So it depends on what your measurement for big is. My measurement for big is how big is your global fan base? What is your strength of support in every sort of like continent in the world? And how well respected and how loved are you by those who have been in and around the game, played the game, or fans of the game? Because you don't hear many speak highly of Real Madrid the same way that they do of Liverpool, and things like that. So
yeah, like he says, no, they have the most fans worldwide. Maybe they do. Listen, when we go to other countries, Liverpool Football Club, like Australia, Asia, all around the continent, like when Liverpool go, we've got a big fan base as well, Redbird. I'm telling you right now, bro. I mean, I was born in Saudi Arabia, so I know that's how I support Liverpool, being born there. You know what I mean? So we've got like actually Arabs who have season tickets at Liverpool that people don't even know about, that I know about. So there you go, man. I mean, Liverpool are big, mate. Just don't underestimate it on social media kind of way. You know what I mean? Because I think that sometimes takes you to the wrong direction, the social media aspects of things. If you know what I mean, Ryan. I mean, anyone can do 5-6 accounts and say, "Oh, I support Real Madrid," all of them.
Yeah, exactly. And what you got to remember about that, I suppose, as well, is Real Madrid and Manchester United in England and Real Madrid in more of a European scale, have generated so many fans that aren't actual supporters of football or watch football because of their presence in the 90s and the noughties of having Galacticos. If it's where a good chunk of Manchester City's fan base comes from. It's if you're not a massive footy fan, and you see a club that's signing all these amazing players, and they've got this Galactico theme, and they've got loads of superstars. It's like watching a show. If you're going to go and watch a TV series, you're probably going to go and watch a TV series that's got the best actors in it, and it's got loads of production value, and it's spent loads of money, and there's loads of explosions and adventure, and and it's all like woo. And if you're not that really into series, you're probably going to gravitate towards that because it grips your attention.
Yeah.
So a good chunk of Real Madrid's fan base, a good chunk of Manchester City's fan base, it's gripped around like, ooh, you're interesting. You sign loads of big superstar footballers, and it's like they become like a TV series. So again, it's that age-old question of the difference between a fan and a supporter. Real Madrid might have more fans. Liverpool have probably got more supporters. If you were to play Liverpool versus Real Madrid.
Yeah, and then you look at the competitive of the league. I mean, how competitive is that league? You know what I mean? That's the difference between the English league and La Liga. You know what I mean? You know already who's going to win next season. We don't know over here who's going to win next season. That's the difference.
When you're growing up in Spain, if you're not that interested in footy or or something like that, and you want to pick a team that's going to have success, you've got two teams to pick from. In England, if you're not that interested in footy and you want to pick a team for success, you've got loads of teams to pick from.
Exactly.
They're mitigating circumstances. I genuinely believe if you were to play Liverpool versus Real Madrid in all the different continents, it'd be more Liverpool than it'd be Real Madrid.
Yeah, Redbird says if we hadn't been banned from Europe, we would have at least 2 more Champions League. Listen, in the 80s, that was the best football Liverpool played as a collective. You know what I mean? Every position we had in the 80s with John Barnes and Ray Houghton's and Steve McMahon and Brendan Whelan, every position was strong in that team, and it was exciting football if you watched it. If you know what I mean, like I did, what I grew up with. But yeah, we would have had a couple. It's just unfortunate it was banned for 5 years. You know what I mean? So Real Madrid didn't have to go through things like that. You know what I mean? As we had. You know what I mean? So and it took us 30 years to come back from winning the league title as well. So they don't have those kind of hurdles, if you know what I mean, and especially the competitiveness of the English league. You know what I mean? But yeah, people, we're gonna move on to the last bit, which is the Real Madrid game. So let's do this, Ryan. Let's do this. So Tuesday night, Liverpool and Real Madrid at Anfield. I was laughing at people when they said to me like, Liverpool's gonna beat Real Madrid, we're gonna win the Champions League and all that stuff. You know what? Thinking about it, well, players are coming back now, Ryan. I have to take it back, man. You know what I mean? It could be true. It could be true. We might be set for the Champions League. Yeah. So what do you think?
Confidence is building. I think it's one of them falls. Sorry, I was just liking and retweeting your things. Listen, it's Liverpool versus Real Madrid. It's probably one of the biggest games in world football that you can get, as we were just talking about then. And our recent record against these lot hasn't been great. There's been different reasons, for different games and why those results ended in certain ways. However, the black and white of it is, our recent form against them hasn't been good at all. The good thing is though about sport, and the good thing about just life in general, is that the past doesn't always repeat itself, and records are there to be changed and broken, and history is there to be changed, and things like that. So I think if you just look at it, if you're looking at it from a footballing aspect and a footballing point of view, you've got a Liverpool side that have struggled this season but are on a little bit of an upturn of form and confidence.
Yeah.
You've got a Real Madrid side that again haven't hit the heights that they wanted to this season. They've had their own injury issues. They've got injury issues coming into the game as well. But what you can guarantee, even the games in the COVID season were the same, you can guarantee blockbuster games. They're always going to be feisty. They're always going to be full-blooded. Liverpool versus Real Madrid, it's like this European unspoken derby that happens because we're both so historic in the Champions League, tournament that we play each other in. So, yeah, I think I have this feeling that it could be one of the closest atmospheres we've seen to the likes of Liverpool versus Chelsea 05.
Oh, that was a killer, that one. I still remember that one.
That's still, for me, to this day, is the best and the loudest atmosphere I think I've
never seen anything like it, bro.
At a footy game. And I have a feeling that this game has got that coming, because I feel like there's a good chunk of the fan base at the moment that are going to go there on Tuesday night and think, you know what? All the negativity that's been around the club, all the negativity that's been around Twitter, all the doom and gloom fans, everything that's been going on. This is my football team. This is my football club. We're back in Champions League action. We're playing against our arch rivals, Real Madrid. We've just won the derby. We beat Newcastle away. I'm going to give it an absolute fucking hell of a go. And I'm going to sing my absolute guts out. And I feel like you'll see the fan base vent their frustration towards the negative side of Liverpool fan base. I think you'll see them vent it out on Tuesday. I think you'll see a bus parade that is one for the ages. I think you'll see the Spirit of Shankly and the Spy Cop lads who do the flags. I think you'll see them in absolute full force, building up the atmosphere and getting everybody up for it again for this game. And I think you'll walk out on that pitch on Tuesday night, and we'll see one of the best receptions that these boys will have in their entire career.
We don't boo in half time, mate. We don't boo in half time, do we? we don't boo in half time like Manchester City got. Nah, mate. Nah.
No, those fans on Tuesday night are going to absolutely go for it. They're going to absolutely go for it.
I love our fans, man.
You know, will it make a difference on the result? Who knows? You know, it's got a better chance than it's got a negative chance.
But what you got to lose? What you got to lose, bro? I mean, with that mentality, what you got to lose? It's been a shit season. I mean, what you got to lose?
A positive thing as well is that I think the players will look to as well is our Champions League form this season's been really good, and it's also a distraction. It's a distraction from the Premier League where you've had your worries. This is knockout footy. This is Liverpool and Jurgen Klopp in European knockout football. It's a different animal, different breed. Yeah. You know, I feel like you're going to see a different side to Liverpool on Tuesday, fans and players. I think you're going to see the shackles off. I think you're going to see a vent of frustration, and I think Real Madrid are just going to unfortunately be the target that gets thrown in front of the ball.
Yeah. It says yes, there's a lot of trophies hunters. I've been over Europe with Liverpool, and he goes around, and I know we have a massive worldwide fan base. I was a season ticket holder for 20 years. Oh damn, I didn't know that, Redbird.
Seen some sides.
Big up, bro, man. I'm trying to get myself. I've been waiting for a while, but I'll get it eventually, hopefully. Yeah. But yeah, Ryan, you're 100% spot on, bro. Like, we just gotta go with that mentality. We've all got to lose, bro. And like you said, a lot of players have come back from injury. And if we connect, like we as fans, as a coach, as players, as everybody at Anfield, there's nothing like it, bro. There's nothing like it, man. And these players, you could underestimate the way they perform in this season, but they can perform if they all pull together. They can do it again, guys.
Klopp straight after the game tonight was already on the rallying cry as well for the fans. He was saying that he cannot wait to get to Anfield under the Anfield Nights, under the Anfield Lights to play Real Madrid. You know, that's him. You know, pushing out to us, and he'll do the same in his press conference on Sunday, or I think it might even be Monday. Yeah. And he'll do the same in his match program notes. He knows full well that Tuesday night could be one of the most historic nights we've ever had in our history. Yeah. You know, and you know, if we're going to look a little bit further beyond it, you knock Real Madrid out, PSG or Bayern Munich, one of them's going out. All of a sudden, we're potentially the second or third strongest team in the competition. So
I'm telling you, mate. And especially when players are coming back at the same time as well, and we added Gakpo onto that quality. You know what I mean? Redbird says, I think Anfield is going to be on fire on Tuesday. Yeah. The Real Madrid players will wonder what the hell's going on. On fire, yeah, 100%. I'm just looking forward to the game, mate. I've got that mentality now, Ryan. I've got nothing to lose watching Liverpool, mate, and I'll enjoy it till the end of the season. You know what I mean? We listen, people. Just get behind the team. Just get, like Ryan says, just get behind the team, and we'll see where we go at the end of the season. And before we go, people, please subscribe to Ryan. So Ryan, you tell them where you at.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for watching. Before you subscribe to me, make sure to hit subscribe on this channel. Subscribe to Foz. Really good friend of mine. Give this video a like. The live stream a like. It's been great to have you all down. I've been watching, you know, obviously your comments and things like that. Honestly, it's been absolutely fantastic. And like I said, the best thing that you can do now as a Liverpool supporter is support those lads from the bottom of your heart. Give it absolutely everything from now till the end of the season, and we'll see where it takes us. And a big special shout out for Match of the Day, because it's the first time it's been on in my gaff for ages. So I'm looking forward to watching Darwin Núñez and Cody Gakpo hit the net again.
Yes, people. First, before we go, Christian Atsu, the former Newcastle player, has passed away. So thoughts and prayers go to him and his family. Let's bring back Ryan. Ryan, can you hear me?
You're on mute, Foz.
Am I? I don't know. Can you hear me now?
Still on mute.
I'm not on mute. I don't know. Can you hear me? I don't know. Ryan, take over. Can you hear me now? I don't know what's going on. Can you hear me? I don't know. But people, if you could hear me, just thoughts and prayers go to Christian Atsu and his family. And I'm gutted like what's happened to him. So people, please, go go to Ryan for the Reds channel and subscribe. You know, this guy is amazing what he does, and he's my partner in crime. We're going to be doing this on a regular basis, and if you like this stuff, what we're doing, just give us a comment on our, obviously, Twitter accounts. We've got LFC Red Forever accounts, for the Reds accounts. I've got my own individual account where Liverpool follow me, actually, which is Fozzy79 as well. So go on those places and just give us some messages and what to improve on as well. If you think like we could improve on certain things, give us some feedback on that as well. So much appreciate to everyone that's tuned in today, and thank you, honestly, thank you. And I'll see you soon, people. Take care, everybody. Take care.